doing their apps really well right now in South Africa?
Someone else actually asked me this, and one of the things that's really under-celebrated, if I can't just blow our own horn, because I really love our app, I love Guobus's app, I think one of the companies that's never mentioned is Amazon. If you look, their app experience in South Africa is they deliver a large amount of products to South Africa already. So if you want to buy a book today online, and the numbers also show it, people install the Amazon app and they buy it off there. And then I think the local e-commerce retailers like Takealot, they also do a good job with their app. And I think there's some here and there are bits in the banking apps that I do like, but maybe still some work there.
Cobus?
I was involved in the App of the Year competition this year, so we looked at about 400 and something apps that entered there. And there's some really good stuff coming out of South Africa, and some sort of pretty innovative things as well. One of the ones that really stood out for me was an app that allows essentially doctors in rural areas to help diagnose eye conditions, or community health workers who don't have access to doctors to identify those diseases. And that literally give people back their sight. So I think there are a lot of really local, really relevant apps out there that excite me. And some of the stuff is world class. I mean, if you look at in that competition, the consumer category was won by the DSTV app, which I think is a world class app and compares well to what's out there.
It seems like we have a lot of really great things coming out of South Africa. I mean, a lot of creatives, a lot of amazing apps. Why? What is it about South Africa and Cape Town specifically that produce these great thinkers and this great tech?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I mean, one of them is just look out of the window. It's a really nice place to live. And I think it fits the lifestyle of many of these sort of startup communities. It's similar to San Francisco or to Barcelona or to many other places where innovation is really happening. A good quality of life. And then I think access to good universities as well makes a big difference. There's some really good skills coming out. I think the challenge is for companies like ourselves is to create an environment where people want to stay here and do that when there's an enormous pressure from the Amazons and Google and Facebook of the world to really poach the best people because salaries are 5 times what we can offer here. So I think it is about finding something that is stimulating, that is a world-class experience, and then you can retain that talent. And obviously also developing new talent, I think.
Yeah, and that's something that we've been been trying to do, going to career fairs. Obviously easier to come here to Stellenbosch or UCT, and you do see the Facebook and the Google stalls at the career fairs. And I think it's really our duty to start talking about the challenges that we are having to get people to help solve it. Especially like if I look at what we're doing at OLX, where we are creating economic value for people who have goods in their homes that they can give a second life and also get some money for it. And to create that value is a massive challenge and can potentially benefit the economy of South Africa quite a lot. So once you start selling that message, I think, or getting better at selling it, I think you'll get more of these candidates saying, but wait a minute, I can solve as big a problem as I would at Google, probably bigger, because if you're an intern at any of these large internet companies, you probably work on an About Us page and make that really top notch, and which I don't think is changing the world. It sounds like changing the world to your mother because you're working in San Francisco, but maybe for yourself, if you reflect, it's not that big a deal. Whereas if you improve the lives of people in your own country, wow, that's something to really wake up in the morning for and look forward to going to work to.
Now, is South Africa ready for this exponential growth we've been seeing in the last while?
Sure. I think that one, I suspect the answer is it depends. So we have some great things. I mean, we have amazing people. We have entrepreneurship like you don't see in many other places. We have really difficult problems that matter and that you can solve by applying things like technology and knowledge and all of these things. So I think it's an enormously vibrant environment where I enjoy living because there are things to do here. On the flip side, there are challenges. I mean, access to infrastructure is not as easy. If you're a small company, access to funding is really not that easy. Regulation is still more or less the way it was in the 80s. So these things are challenging, but there are challenges wherever you are. So I think we are definitely ready to do these things, and I think we're also positioned to sort of leapfrog a little bit, and we don't have to go through all those steps that some developed countries had to. So I think technology is making a massive impact here. I think there are some very much unanswered questions. What do we do if the average South African doesn't have a good level of education? Can they participate in this knowledge economy? Those kind of things worry me. But in terms of being ready for change, absolutely.
Well, that was one of my next questions. With the average South African be able to participate in everything we're speaking about today, how do we get them to the level where they can enjoy these apps and luxuries that we're talking about?
Yeah, I think it's partly the responsibility of companies when designing new services where they want to add value, is to realize that a big part of the consumer base might be living off of a lower salary than they are used to catering for, and that to enable experiences that work on in low bandwidth conditions. I think it's a bit disrespectful to create apps that's really big in South Africa, because you're basically stealing money off people. If you don't provide a great experience, then they've blown 3 or 4, 5 rand airtime vouchers just on downloading your app, and then the first time they open it, it crashes. I think that's disrespectful. So, like, really, that's one of my things, is that, especially for us, is that we really want to look at how can we make it as respectful to people's pockets as possible, because OLX will always be a way to post free ads. And if we are saying we are free, we also mean that we're really moving towards free. You also don't need to pay for the bandwidth, right? I think that's an important part of that equation.